One day, a man complained to a farmer, "Life is very hard." The farmer silently handed him a potato and said, "Put this in your pocket." The next day, he gave him another, then another. After a week, the man shouted, "These potatoes are heavy. Why are you making me suffer?" The farmer smiled and said, "You chose to carry them every day, just like complaints, anger, ego, and fear. Life doesn't become heavy by itself. We make it heavy by what we choose to carry." Most people think change is something dramatic. A big decision, a powerful moment, a sudden transformation, but real change rarely announces itself loudly. It usually begins very quietly, almost invisibly, with a simple shift in awareness. We live most of our lives on autopilot. We wake up, scroll, rush, react, complain, sleep, and repeat. Days pass, months pass, years pass, yet we wonder why life feels stuck. The problem is not lack of effort, the problem is lack of observation. We do things without noticing why we do them. We react without understanding what triggered us. We blame circumstances without questioning our patterns. Awareness is the moment you pause and say, "Why did I react like that?" Awareness is noticing that the same situation keeps repeating in different forms. Awareness is realizing that the problem outside is often connected to something unresolved inside. The moment you become aware, you stop being a victim of your habits. You may still feel anger, fear, jealousy, or insecurity, but now you see them clearly, and what you can see clearly, you can slowly change. What remains unseen continues to control you. Many people try to fix their lives by changing external things, a new job, a new city, new people. But they carry the same mindset everywhere they go. Awareness shifts the focus inward. It helps you understand that peace is not found by rearranging life, but by understanding it. When awareness grows, excuses start to disappear. You notice how often you delay things. You notice how quickly you judge others. You notice how easily you give up on yourself. This noticing is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create clarity. Guilt drains energy. Clarity directs it. Awareness also teaches responsibility, not the heavy, stressful kind, but the empowering kind. You realize that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can always control how consciously you respond. That realization alone gives immense strength. Think of awareness like turning on a light in a dark room. The mess was always there, but now you can see it. And once you can see it, you can clean it step by step. Without awareness, you keep tripping over the same things and blaming the darkness. A conscious life does not mean a perfect life. It means a more honest one. You accept where you are without hating yourself for it. You recognize your flaws without making them your identity. You start improving not because you feel worthless, but because you finally see your potential. Every meaningful transformation begins here. Not with force, not with pressure, but with awareness. Most people underestimate the power of the first few moments of the day. They think life is shaped by big decisions, but in reality, it is shaped by small routines repeated every morning. The way you begin your day quietly sets the tone for your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions long before the world starts demanding your attention. When you wake up, your mind is in a very sensitive state. Whatever you feed it first becomes the direction of your day. If the first thing you do is check messages, notifications, or news, you allow other people's priorities, problems, and opinions to enter your mind before you even meet yourself. Without realizing it, stress begins before the day has even started. A calm morning is not about waking up early just to be productive. It is about waking up with awareness. Even a few minutes of silence can change the quality of the entire day. Sitting quietly, breathing deeply, or simply being present helps the mind shift from chaos to clarity. When the mind is calm, decisions become better. reactions become softer, focus becomes stronger. Gratitude in the morning has a quiet power. When you acknowledge what is already going right, the mind stops chasing what is missing. A grateful mind works differently. It sees opportunities instead of obstacles. It carries patience instead of pressure. Just a moment of appreciation in the morning can reframe how challenges are handled throughout the day. The body also listens to how the day begins. Rushing creates tension. Stillness creates balance. A simple stretch, a walk, or mindful movement tells the body that it is safe, supported, and ready. When the body feels cared for, energy flows more naturally, and fatigue loses its grip. Intentions matter. When you take a moment in the morning to decide how you want to show up, calm, focused, kind, disciplined, you give your mind a direction. Without intention, the day controls you. With intention, you guide the day, even when things don't go as planned. Morning habits are not about perfection. They are about consistency. A simple routine done daily is more powerful than an elaborate one done occasionally. Over time, these small beginnings shape confidence, discipline, and inner stability. You begin to notice that external chaos affects you less because your internal foundation is strong. The world outside is noisy and demanding. It will always pull at your attention. The morning is the only time when life gives you a chance to meet yourself before everything else begins. How you use that moment decides not just the quality of your day, but gradually the quality of your life. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think it is about strict rules, pressure, or forcing yourself to do things you hate. But true discipline is something far deeper and far kinder. It is the quiet commitment you make to yourself, even when no one is watching. It is not about controlling life. It is about respecting your own potential. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, something powerful happens inside. Confidence grows, self-trust strengthens. When you break those promises repeatedly, sleeping late when you plan to wake up early, postponing what matters, choosing comfort over growth, you don't just delay progress, you weaken your relationship with yourself. Discipline repairs that relationship. Motivation is emotional. It depends on mood, energy, and circumstances. Discipline is intentional. It shows up even on tired days, confusing days, and difficult days. That is why disciplined people move forward, while motivated people often stay stuck waiting for the right feeling. The right feeling usually comes after action, not before it. Discipline creates freedom, not restriction. When you manage your time, your habits, and your focus, you gain control over your life. Without discipline, distractions decide your future. With discipline, you choose your direction consciously. What feels uncomfortable in the beginning slowly becomes empowering. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. On those days, it is important to remember why it matters. Discipline is not about proving anything to others. It is about protecting your future self from regret. It is about choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. Each disciplined action is a vote for the person you want to become. Consistency is more important than intensity. A small effort done daily builds strength that dramatic effort cannot sustain. Discipline grows quietly through repetition. Over time, it shapes character, sharpens focus, and builds inner strength that no external circumstance can take away. When discipline becomes a part of your identity, life changes. You stop negotiating with your responsibilities. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You start acting with clarity and purpose. That inner order reflects outwardly in better health, stronger relationships, and meaningful progress. Discipline is not a burden. It is an act of self-respect. And when you respect yourself enough to stay disciplined, life begins to respect you in return. Words have far more power than we realize. A single sentence spoken in anger can destroy years of trust, while a few kind words spoken at the right time can heal wounds that seemed permanent. Most problems in life do not begin with bad intentions. They begin with uncontrolled speech. The tongue moves faster than awareness, and the damage is done before the mind has time to catch up. When emotions rise, intelligence often falls. In moments of anger, ego, or frustration, the urge to speak feels strong, almost irresistible. But that is exactly the moment when silence becomes wisdom. Pausing before speaking is not weakness, it is mastery. The ability to hold back words is a sign of inner strength, not fear. Many people regret what they said, not what they remained silent about. Once words leave the mouth, they cannot be taken back. Apologies may reduce the pain, but they cannot erase the impact. Awareness in speech protects relationships, dignity, and peace of mind. A calm response can prevent conflicts that might otherwise last for years. The way you speak to others slowly becomes the way you speak to yourself. Harsh words create a harsh inner environment. Gentle words create inner stability. When communication is respectful, even disagreements become constructive. When communication is careless, even small issues become battles. Listening is just as important as speaking. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. When you truly listen, you reduce misunderstandings and increase connection. Silence during listening is not empty. It is active presence. It tells the other person that they matter. Speech also reveals inner growth. A mature person does not need to prove anything through words. There is no rush to dominate conversations or win arguments. Peace becomes more important than being right. Ego weakens when awareness strengthens. Controlling speech does not mean suppressing emotions. It means expressing them with clarity and responsibility. Honest communication delivered with calmness carries far more impact than emotional outbursts ever will. When words are chosen carefully, they become tools for healing rather than weapons of harm. A disciplined tongue leads to a disciplined life. When speech is aligned with awareness, relationships improve, conflicts reduce, and inner peace deepens. Words shape reality, and mastering them is one of the most powerful forms of self-mastery. Holding on feels natural. When someone hurts us, disappoints us, or betrays our expectations, the mind believes that holding on to the pain will protect us. It feels like a form of control, a way of saying that what happened mattered. But over time, that grip tightens, and what was once a reaction becomes a burden we carry every day. Anger does not stay in the past. It travels with us into the present. It affects how we speak, how we trust, and how we see people. Even when the situation is long over, the emotional weight remains alive inside. The person who caused the pain may have moved on, but the one holding on continues to suffer silently. Letting go is often misunderstood. It is not about pretending nothing happened, and it is not about justifying wrong behavior. It is about choosing inner peace over emotional exhaustion. It is the decision to stop allowing one moment, one person, or one memory to control your present state of mind. The mind revisits painful moments again and again, believing that replaying them will bring closure. In reality, it only deepens the wound. Healing begins when you allow yourself to release the need for validation, explanation, or revenge. Peace arrives when you stop demanding closure from the outside and start creating it within. Forgiveness is not a gift to the other person, it is a gift to yourself. It frees mental space, restores emotional balance, and allows energy to flow back into your life. Without forgiveness, growth slows down because too much energy is spent carrying emotional weight that no longer serves you. Letting go requires courage. It means accepting that you cannot change what happened, but you can change how deeply it affects you. It means choosing emotional maturity over emotional reaction. Over time, this choice brings clarity, lightness, and inner strength. When you release what hurts you, you create space for what heals you. The heart becomes lighter, the mind becomes quieter, life feels less heavy, not because problems disappear, but because you are no longer carrying unnecessary pain. True freedom is not found in holding on. It is found in learning when to release. Comparison often begins quietly. You see someone else moving ahead, achieving more, receiving appreciation, and suddenly your own journey feels smaller. What was once enough now feels insufficient. Without realizing it, joy gets replaced by pressure, and gratitude gets replaced by self-doubt. Every person you compare yourself to is standing on a different foundation. They have lived a different life, faced different struggles, received different opportunities, and learned different lessons. Yet the mind ignores all of that and focuses only on visible results. This incomplete picture creates unnecessary dissatisfaction and steals peace. Comparison does not motivate growth, it distorts self-worth. Instead of inspiring action, it often leads to discouragement or arrogance, both harmful. Either you feel inferior and lose confidence, or you feel superior and lose humility. In both cases, balance is lost. The habit of comparison keeps attention outward, away from personal responsibility. When focus shifts to what others are doing, energy is wasted that could have been used to improve skills, habits, or mindset. Growth requires presence. Comparison creates distraction. Progress becomes meaningful only when measured against your own past. When you look at who you were and who you are becoming, growth becomes visible. Small improvements gain value, effort feels rewarding, the journey feels personal, not competitive. Social environments often intensify comparison. Highlighted successes, filtered lives, and constant updates create unrealistic standards. What is not shown are failures, fears, and doubts. Comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlights is unfair and damaging. Self-acceptance weakens the need for comparison. When you understand your strengths and accept your limitations, the desire to compete fades. You stop rushing your journey and start respecting its pace. Confidence grows from authenticity, not imitation. True growth begins when attention turns inward. When focus shifts from others to self-improvement, life becomes calmer and progress becomes consistent. The path becomes clearer, not because it is easier, but because it is truly yours. Comfort has a quiet attraction. It feels safe, familiar, and effortless. It tells you to stay where you are, to avoid risk, to postpone effort. In the moment, comfort feels like peace, but over time, it slowly turns into stagnation. What once felt safe begins to feel suffocating. Growth always asks for something uncomfortable. It asks you to wake up earlier than you want to. It asks you to practice when progress is slow. It asks you to face fears instead of avoiding them. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is changing. The mind naturally resists growth because growth requires uncertainty. The familiar, even when limiting, feels easier than the unknown. But staying comfortable does not protect you from pain. It only delays it. The discomfort of discipline is temporary. The discomfort of regret lasts much longer. Every meaningful improvement in life begins with a choice to stretch beyond what feels easy. Strength is built when effort is repeated, not when convenience is chosen. Confidence grows when challenges are faced, not when they are avoided. Each uncomfortable step expands capacity and resilience. Avoiding discomfort creates a cycle of dependency on motivation. When things feel hard, action stops. When things feel easy, effort returns. Growth demands consistency regardless of mood. It requires commitment even when enthusiasm fades. Choosing growth does not mean pushing yourself harshly. It means being honest about your potential and refusing to settle for less. It means accepting short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term clarity, strength, and freedom. With time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. Discipline becomes habit. Fear becomes familiarity. The comfort zone expands, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Growth is never convenient, but it is always rewarding. And every time you choose growth over comfort, you move one step closer to the life you are capable of living. Stress often grows when life becomes too centered around the self. The more attention is focused on personal problems, expectations, and outcomes, the heavier the mind feels. Thoughts loop endlessly around what is missing, what went wrong, or what might happen next. This inward pressure slowly drains energy and peace. When attention shifts outward, something changes. Helping someone, supporting a cause, or simply being present for another person creates a sense of lightness. Service interrupts overthinking. It reminds the mind that life is larger than personal worries. In that moment, stress loosens its grip. Serving others does not always require grand actions. Small acts carry great power. Listening without judgment, offering encouragement, or sharing time and effort creates connection. These simple actions generate meaning, and meaning reduces mental burden. A meaningful life feels lighter even when responsibilities increase. Service also brings perspective. When you witness other people's struggles, gratitude naturally arises. Problems that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable. This shift does not minimize your challenges. It strengthens your ability to face them with maturity. The heart expands through giving. As compassion grows, ego softens. The constant need for validation and recognition fades. Peace increases when actions are driven by sincerity rather than expectation. Serving without seeking returns creates inner freedom. Stress thrives on isolation. Service creates connection. When you feel connected, you feel supported, even if no one says a word. The act of giving builds emotional resilience and reminds you that your presence matters. A life focused only on personal success often feels empty despite achievements. A life that includes service feels fulfilling even during struggles. Fulfillment does not come from accumulation, it comes from contribution. When service becomes part of daily life, stress no longer dominates. Challenges remain, but the heart becomes stronger. Giving does not reduce what you have, it multiplies what you feel. There are moments in life when effort feels invisible. You work hard, stay consistent, try to do the right things, yet nothing seems to move. Progress feels slow, and doubt begins to whisper that maybe it is not working. Maybe you are wasting your time. These moments test patience more than strength. The mind wants immediate results. It wants proof that effort is paying off. When that proof does not appear, motivation weakens. But growth does not follow human timelines. Some changes happen beneath the surface, away from sight, building foundations that will support future success. Just because results are not visible does not mean nothing is happening. Seeds take time before they break the soil. During that time, all the real work is happening underground. The same is true for personal growth. Discipline, learning, healing, and self-improvement often show results only after patience has been tested. Uncertainty is part of the process. It forces trust. It teaches surrender without passivity. Trusting the process does not mean doing nothing. It means continuing to act with faith even when clarity is missing. This quiet perseverance strengthens character. Comparison can make waiting feel harder. When others seem to move ahead faster, doubt increases, but every journey unfolds differently. Some paths are shorter, others deeper. Depth often requires time. Trust grows when you focus on effort rather than outcome. When attention stays on what can be controlled, consistency, attitude, integrity, peace increases. Outcomes then arrive naturally, often when least expected. There will be days when giving up feels tempting. Those are usually the days closest to growth. Staying steady during uncertainty builds inner strength that lasts far longer than quick success. When patience replaces anxiety, the process becomes meaningful. Progress may be slow, but it becomes stable, and what is built with patience rarely collapses under pressure. There are moments in life when effort feels invisible. You work sincerely, stay consistent, and still nothing seems to move. Progress feels slow, and doubt begins to whisper that maybe it is not working, maybe you are wasting your time. These moments are not a sign of failure, they are a test of patience and faith. The mind is naturally impatient. It wants quick rewards and visible proof. When results do not appear on time, frustration grows. But life does not operate on instant timelines. Some of the most important changes happen quietly, beneath the surface, where they cannot be seen or measured immediately. Just because nothing is visible does not mean nothing is happening. Roots grow in darkness before a tree stands tall. In the same way, discipline, learning, healing, and inner strength develop silently. The foundation must become strong before growth can be sustained. Uncertainty is uncomfortable, yet necessary. It teaches you to keep moving forward without guarantees. Trusting the process does not mean waiting passively. It means continuing with honesty and effort even when clarity is missing. This kind of trust builds emotional resilience and maturity. Doubt often increases when you start measuring your journey against others. Some people show results quickly, others slowly. Speed does not define depth. What takes longer often lasts longer because it is built with understanding, patience, and consistency. When focus shifts from outcome to effort, peace increases. You stop chasing validation and start valuing progress. You begin to trust your actions rather than fear the results. Over time, this mindset creates stability regardless of external circumstances. There will be days when quitting feels easier than continuing. Those days usually arrive just before change begins. Staying steady in such moments strengthens character more than success ever could. Trusting the process turns waiting into wisdom. Progress may feel slow, but it becomes meaningful. And what grows with patience stands strong when tested. Life today feels rushed. There is constant pressure to achieve more, move faster, and prove worth through results. This pressure creates anxiety, not growth. When life is driven only by deadlines and expectations, it begins to feel like a race with no finish line. Purpose brings a different energy. It slows the mind while strengthening direction. When actions are guided by meaning rather than fear, effort feels lighter. You may still work hard, but the work no longer drains you. It aligns you. Pressure comes from comparison, expectations, and the need for approval. Purpose comes from values, clarity, and inner understanding. Pressure demands immediate success. Purpose focuses on long-term fulfillment. One creates stress, the other creates stability. When purpose is clear, decisions become simpler. You stop chasing everything and start choosing what truly matters. You say no without guilt and yes without fear. This clarity reduces mental clutter and emotional exhaustion. Living with purpose does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges still appear, but instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel anchored. Even during uncertainty, there is a sense of direction. You may not know exactly how things will unfold, but you know why you are moving forward. A purposeful life values balance. Rest is no longer seen as weakness, and effort is no longer driven by insecurity. There is respect for both action and stillness. This balance protects mental and emotional health. Pressure forces you to prove yourself. Purpose allows you to express yourself. One seeks validation, the other creates contribution. When contribution becomes the focus, fulfillment naturally follows. A life guided by purpose feels meaningful even during struggles. There is less fear of falling behind and more trust in your own pace. When purpose replaces pressure, life stops feeling heavy and starts feeling intentional. As this journey comes to a close, remember one simple truth: your life does not change in a single dramatic moment. It changes through small, conscious choices made every day. Awareness, discipline, patience, kindness, and purpose may seem simple, but they shape the direction of your life more than any external success ever could. You do not need to become someone else to live better. You only need to become more intentional about who you already are. When you choose growth over comfort, calm over reaction, purpose over pressure, life begins to respond differently. Change will not always be loud. It will often be silent, gradual, and unseen. But one day, you will look back and realize that the way you think, act, and respond has transformed. And in that realization, you will understand that the most powerful changes are the ones that begin within and are lived daily.